Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Finnigan 40K. We are about to embark on another narrative crusade. I know I mentioned in a few of my previous videos that I was looking at possibly doing a mixed Astra Militarum force. I'm going to put that one on the back burner for now. Not that I'm going to not do that in the future, but I was looking at the Adepta Sororitas and its army that I haven't really used very much. They were in our Last Stand series. If you guys want to check that playlist, it's called the Last Stand series by Finnigan 40K. They didn't do great, but I didn't really roll well for them, and it wasn't the best force put together. So I was looking at their new stats from the Codex for 10th edition, and I said, you know what? This would be a fantastic crusade made up of a lot of different mixed models. So in front of you is a 1,005 point Adepta Sororitas army, also known as the Sisters of Battle or Battle Sisters, as I used to call them. You guys will probably hear me throughout the crusade call them Battle Sisters. That's the way that I always played them back in the 90s when they were the pewter models. In a second here, we're going to break down what this force is made up of and just kind of what each unit is here to do. There's going to be another 5 to 7 battles in front of them, and the first is actually going to be against the Emperor's Children. The army here is going to get some allies that will be helping them out. There's going to be an Inquisitor in that fight with Inquisitorial Henchmen, and also Sanctifiers, which are kind of like Holy Zealots, which is perfect for a Sisters of Battle game. The Slaneshian Emperor's Children force is actually going to be a continuation of my Acadian Narrative Crusade. So if you guys want to see that battle, it is under my Acadian Narrative Crusade playlist. It was actually one of the only battles that the Acadian lost. It might have been the only one that they lost. I think they finished off their narrative 6-1. And what happened when there was a massive kind of chaos undivided army was holding off a gateway being opened. The spoiler alert is the gateway was opened, and Slaaneshi demons as well as Marines started to come through from the warp. So the first battle for this one is going to be kind of the Slaaneshi forces have made it through the entire city, and they're now up to the government building or palace that you might say on the planet. And there's a last line of Sisters of Battle defenders, which are in front of you, plus a few of those allied models that I mentioned. And the Slaaneshi Emperor's Children force is going to be massive. So this one here is 1,005 points, just 5 points over that 1,000 limit for Narrative Crusade. That's okay. There's been a lot of balance data slate switches as well. So it's possible that those points in the future might come under that, might go a little bit over. 1,005 is fine. The additional forces that are coming in to help them are probably going to be around 400 points. So that, again, is going to be Sanctifiers, an Inquisitor, and Inquisitorial Henchmen. And the Emperor's Children / Slaaneshi Demon Force is probably going to be 1,700 to 2,000 points. So it's going to be fantastic. That is still to come. I have to set up that battle. The big thing about starting another Narrative Crusade, it's massive. I have to get all my armies together, make sure that all the point values are good, that they're taking on, that the mission makes sense in regards to battle honors, battle scars, all that stuff. What kind of, you want your force to have a shot. I'm trying to make it as even as I can is the way that'll be. There'll be more about that first battle against the Emperor's Children in time. Probably going to set that up and maybe get that shot later this week. And now we're going to get to each of these units broken down, their point value, kind of what they're capable of doing. Very, very cool new rules with the Sisters of Battle. And pretty much every single model here has a 6+ invulnerable save, which I don't think any other force in Warhammer has. A lot of character models have that 4+, but these Sisters of Battle have a 6+ each. So very, very cool. There might be some others that don't. I have to check all the stats. A lot has changed again since the last balanced data slate and their new codex. But I am super excited to give these guys a shot, see how they do in a 5 to 7 game battlefront, see how they finish up, see if they're better than my Acadian from the last Crusade. And looking at this force, I think they have been put together very well. Some pretty good heavy weaponry, pretty good hand-to-hand, very diverse, balanced force. So yeah, we'll see how they do. On to each of them, and I'll give you a little description of each and kind of what the role is for this next Narrative Crusade. So this is the 10th edition Adepta Sororitas Battle Sisters, Sisters of Battle Army rules. Their main rule here, and all of the different armies have these. So you have, Voice of Command, Oath of Moment, Cabal of Sorcerers that you guys have seen in my previous videos. The Acts of Faith is the army rule for the Adepta Sororitas, and it is a very cool miracle dice pool that gets created after specific moves, and then those dice can be swapped in for poor rolls, which is, I think, really cool to the lore of the Sisters of Battle, and having that, Emperor kind of guiding them and watching over their shoulder. So I'll just have a quick description here of Acts of Faith. So very, very cool start here. It is said the Emperor's benediction touches the Adepta Sororitas, manifesting as a nimbus of holy light in which his power is revealed in miraculous deeds of fortitude and divine strength. So if you guys are Warhammer 30k fans, you know that the Emperor never wanted to be seen as a god. He is a godly figure, and he's been there kind of since the beginning of humanity. I think like 3000 BC or something. And in the year 40k, they now see him as a god, and armies like the Adepta Sororitas, the Black Templar, they see the Emperor. Actually, most Space Marines now see the Emperor as this holy god figure, which was not the case and not what he ever wanted in the year 30k. So these Sisters of Battle and the Sanctifiers that are with them, and their entire holy order is all based around the Emperor being a god. So these acts of faith they see as being something that's coming from him. They also have a huge amount of martyrdom. So if a Sister of Battle dies in battle or a unit gets killed, they gain more miracle dice, and there's going to be a lot of that going on in the campaign. So we'll go through that with each battle because it's going to change. But the main thing here, so gaining miracle dice. If your army faction is Adepta Sororitas, you gain 1 miracle dice at the start of each turn. Each time an Adepta Sororitas unit from your army is destroyed as well, you gain a miracle dice. And then each time you gain a miracle dice, roll 1d6. The number you roll is the value of that miracle dice. This value cannot be changed or re-rolled unless a rule specifically states otherwise. Keep your miracle dice to one side. This is your miracle dice pool. So if I roll 6s, I can soup that in if I have failed a hit roll, an advance roll. I don't really use advance, you guys know that, but damage roll, saving throw, stuff like that, wound roll, so you can add those miracle dice in. And actually some of the models that we're going to go over here in a sec have the ability to actually gain more miracle dice or reroll miracle dice. So that's why a lot of them are here, to be able to get as much firepower and rolling power as I can for the Sisters of Battle. So the commander for this Sisters of Battle Crusade is Canoness Vaheen. Canoness are commanders that have been with the Sisters of Battle through tons and tons of campaigns. Our Canoness here has a cybernetic leg. I don't know if she has any other cybernetics, but she definitely lost that sometime throughout her battles and has now like a Terminator leg on her. I'll just read you what the Codex says about a Canoness. So martial and spiritual commanders of the Order's militants, Canoness are as much veteran warriors with decades of experience as they are shining examples of purity. Possessing impeccable leadership skills, tactical prowess, and immense faith, Canonesses are beacons of both pious virtue and holy wrath. So Canoness Vaheen will be leading this force for the time being. I do have Morven Val, who will be coming in. She is a High Lord of Terra, and when she gets in there, it's going to be a game changer, I think, for a lot of the enemies we're fighting. But with the point value right now, I want this force led by a Canoness. Just to read kind of her profile a little bit here, and I might put that up on the screen. We can keep it or not. She does have a plasma pistol, and then her melee weapons are a Blessed Blade, and the power weapon there, which I believe is a Null Rod. I'll have to look into that. Moving on, we have the Hospitaller. These are fantastic for just staying power for the Sisters of Battle. The abilities are the big ones for them here. So while this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. So I'm going to attach her most likely to my Sacrosanct, and I'll explain that in a sec when I get over to them. Also, the Hospitaller has the Sacred Healing. So while this model is leading a unit in your command phase, you can return up to 1 destroyed model, excluding character models, to that unit. If you wish, you can first discard 1 miracle dice. If you do, you can return up to D3 plus 1 destroyed models. So that means that the Sacrosancts, who are have probably one of the highest invulnerable saves here, are going to be able to come back as long as that Hospitaller is leading them. And I'll be able to, when we get into the actual Crusade itself, refer back to this intro video so we don't have to explain every single ability and stuff. So this one might be long right off the bat, but it's important to get all the rules down for these models. And that is the Celestian Sacrosancts can be led by the Hospitaller as well. So that's great. The Imagifier, which is on the screen right now, has the ability to stanchion of Holy Martyrs. So while this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a save characteristic of 2+ and a 4+ invulnerable save. So this is a great model to have near the Retributors, which are the heavy weapons here, even a Battle Sister squad. The leading characteristic here for them is that they can do Battle Sister squad, Celestian Sacrosancts, Dominion squad, or Retributor. So I've got a lot of stuff to decide through that. Also, a Litany of Deeds, which is going to be huge. Each time you gain a miracle dice as a result of an Adepta Sororitas unit or model from your army being destroyed, if that unit or model was destroyed within 12 inches of this model, you can re-roll the results of that miracle dice before adding it to your miracle dice pool. So if I roll a 1, I say, shit, I don't like that. There's a unit within 12 inches of the Imagifier. I can then re-roll, get a higher roll, maybe a 6, something like that would be fantastic. Those are kind of the HQ models right now. Our Battle Sister squads are like the tactical squads of old for the Space Marines or Acadian Shock Troop section. So they have bolt guns for the most part. Their Sister Superior has a power weapon or chain sword with combi weapon or a plasma pistol or just a higher pistol weapon. And then they have the ability to have one support weapon, so Melt-A-Gun, Flamer, Storm Bolter, and then one heavy weapon. So heavy bolter, multi-melta, heavy flamer. And there's kind of a triad here with the Sisters of Battle, which is the Holy Flame, Melta, and Bolt. That's kind of their weapon loadout. So they like bolt guns, they like melta guns, and they love flamers to just burn away heresy. So one squad here, Squad Alpha, that you guys are seeing on your screen now, their Sister Superior has a bolt gun and chainsword. They have a Melt-A-Gun as a support weapon and a heavy flamer, and then the rest of the crew all have bolt guns. In Squad Bravo, there is a combi weapon with the Superior and a chainsword. They have a flamer as their support weapon, heavy bolter as their heavy weapon, and then the rest of the unit has bolt guns once again. The Sororitas Rhino, I wanted to have something here. The Battle Sisters have a super good save. They're just not as tough as the Space Marines, so their toughness, they're like right in between the Space Marines and the Imperial Guard, which is another reason I chose them. They're really, really cool. Not the most expensive models either, but they do have a toughness of 3 compared to the toughness of 4 for a Marine. They do have a 3+ save though. They wear power armor, and then they have that incredible invulnerable save 6+ for pretty much every model at least. But yeah, they're going to need some support there, especially when they're facing heavier armed armies. So I wanted to give them a Rhino right off the bat to get some mobility there, some speed, and be able to kind of, get my Battle Sister squads in or whoever else where I need them as quickly as possible. So the Sororitas Rhino is in there for that. The Castigator is the Adepta Sororitas heavy tank. It's not anywhere near as heavy as the Imperial Guard tanks. It's based off of a Rhino chassis with a Castigator cannon on it. And the Castigator battle cannon has a strength 10, so not too bad. It's not as strong as like a Rogel Dorn or a Bane Blade or something like that, but it'll hopefully get the job done, taking on some of the tougher models. Toughness 10 because of that Rhino chassis, 11 wounds, and it also has an invulnerable save, so that's pretty good. The Celestian Sacrosancts here, which are on your screen now, have an invulnerable save of 4+ because of the shield that they carry. They each have an anointed halberd, and that's not doing too bad, 5 strength, so it can get in there against some of the tougher enemies. But with them souped up by the Hospitaller, I think they're going to be super good because they'll be able to get models back. My unit here has anointed halberds, and then the Celestian Superior has the Spear of the Faithful. I do have a unit with maces, so I might put them in later as I get more requisition points. And if you guys want to see to how this whole crusade works, you can refer back to my Acadian Crusade narrative first video, and it explains all the rules of 10th edition Crusade and kind of how points are gained, things like that. So pretty cool. I think that's almost everybody. I'm just looking. Oh, yes, my Retributor squad. So the Retributors are the heavy weapons of the Adepta Sororitas. In this unit here, I have a heavy flamer, heavy bolter, and then 2 multi-meltas. I need to keep these guys alive. The Hospitaller with them might be okay, but then the Hospitaller is not going to be moving as much, so the Magifier with them might be better. And these are my punch. So those multi-meltas, very high strength, and the flamer, great for infantry. So I'm going to really have to stick these guys in a good spot. Maybe they'll be in the rhino. I'll have to see what's going on when I get into it. But I need these guys stuck in, good cover, and just continue to blast. And I should say gals. I don't know, not guys. I always say guys. It's a Canadian thing. Canadians say guys. It's just something that we do. And then last but not least here, we do have the Paragon Warsuits, which I should say are actually another very good heavy weapon punch. So the Paragon Warsuits are like these ancient warsuits that were worn, probably at the very beginning after the Emperor was put on the throne and the Battle Sisters started to come into being. They're an older technology, but they have a platform to strengthen a regular Sister of Battle up to that of, I wouldn't want to say a greater demon. It's not like a gray knight like Warsuit, but they definitely strengthen the model quite a bit. Their toughness becomes 7. They have 4 wounds. The ranged weaponry too, because of the platform, they can have a high strength melee weapon and also a high strength ranged weapon. So on my models here, I have a heavy bolter and I have 2 multi-meltas, again for a bit more punch, and that heavy bolter can be used for anti-infantry. For the melee side of this, I have the Paragon Warblade with my Warsuit Superior. I guess I'll call her. I'm not sure exactly what she's called, but the Paragon Warsuit Superior. And it is not too bad. It's a strength 8, so the exoskeleton definitely heightens their strength. And then the Paragon War Mace, which is with the other 2, is a strength 12 actually in hand-to-hand. So if I am getting into scraps in that first battle with Fulgrim, he's probably going to be in there. Also, possibly a greater demon of Slaanesh that you guys saw coming through that warp portal after the Cadian lost. They're going to be needed for that. That's kind of my hand-to-hand combat punch, because the sisters do not have any, crazy power fists or things like that like the Space Marines do. So that is the force. I don't want this video to go on too long. I am super excited to get the setup. That first battle is going to be a cityscape again. And it will be this 1005 point Adepta Sororitas army teamed up with an Inquisitor and some allies there to help them out. We'll get into the rules when I get into the actual, not the rules, but kind of the breakdown of how that battle is going to be, the victory indicator, stuff like that. But I'm really excited to see how they do. Just over 1,000 points at 1,005, taking on what should be an almost 2,000 point Slaaneshi and Emperor's Children army. So we will see how these Sisters of Battle do in their first bout. Hopefully they can get a victory, more requisition points, and we can start to add in tons more models, because I got a lot of Sisters of Battle models. So thank you guys for watching. Please give us a like, subscribe. You can check out all of our other playlists as well. We have Fight 'em Up series, medium weight, heavyweight, Primarchs and their posse that was just filmed. We have the narrative crusade for the Cadian, a couple of random battles, some outline of what collection I have, and Last Stand series as well. So check those out. Give us a like, subscribe. Thank you guys so much, and we'll get to this one as soon as we can. Bye for now.